Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Today we are going to start first poem of class metric. First of all, I want to tell you the definition of poetry. Poetry is simply the most beautiful, impressive and widely effective mode of saying something. In poetry, poet describes his topic in a very beautiful manner. He uses impressive language to make it very beautiful. Okay, kinds of poetry. It has two kinds. Number one is subjective poetry. It is based on personal life of writer. Now, what is subjective poetry? One who writes about his own life is called subjective poetry. For example, a writer is writing his own experience of life. Okay, so that type of poetry is called subjective poetry. Number second is objective poetry. It is based on others' life and object of the world. Now, what is objective poetry? Objective poetry means writer is writing about the life of other people. Here writer is choosing the objects of the world to write about them. Now what is the object of the world? There are many objects of the world. For example, sun, flower, moon, valleys, mountains. These all are called objects of the world. Okay. For example, Wordsworth wrote daffodils. Now, what is daffodil? Daffodil is a name of flower, and flower is the natural object. So, Wordsworth wrote his poem to write about the beauty of that particular flower. So, that poetry is called objective poetry. The voice of God. First of all, I want to give you introduction of writer. This poem is written by Louis Israel Newman. He was born in Providence, Rhode Island, USA on 20 December 1893. He was poet, playwright, scholar and rabbi. Now what is the meaning of poet? Poet means one who writes poetry. That person is called poet. Playwright. What is the meaning of playwright? One who writes plays. That person is called playwright. Dramatist and playwright. Both are similar words. Okay. Scholar. What is the meaning of a scholar? One who is expert in particular field. That person is called scholar. And Rabbi. Rabbi. What is the meaning of Rabbi? Rabbi means Jewish religious leader. Okay, Jewish religious leader. He attended following universities. He studied BA from Brown University, and then he went to University of California to study MA, and then he got admission in Columbia University for PhD. Okay, he married Lucille Helena and had three sons. He was a religious minded man who wrote on religious subjects. Okay, he composed poetry based on moral, ethics and social values. Okay, he died in 1972. Now we are going to start the poem, The Voice of God. What is the meaning of God? God means creator. The voice of God. The voice of God means heavenly voice. The voice of God means divine voice. Okay. Now we are going to read the poem. I sought to hear the voice of God and climbed the topmost steeple. But God declared, go down again. I dwell among the people. First of all, I want to tell you the meaning of difficult words. Then I'll explain you lines of poem. Sought. Sought means look for. Topmost. Topmost means highest. Steeple. Steeple means the tallest part of a religious building. Declared. Declared means proclaim, make a statement. Dwell. Dwell means live. Now I'm going to explain the poem. I sought to hear the voice of God and climbed the topmost steeple. In this poem, poet shows his greatest wish of hearing God's voice. He had great patience to meet God. Therefore, he climbed up the steeple. The poet thought that by climbing up the steeple, he would be very near to God and could hear his voice. He was really very excited because his dream of hearing voice of God was about to come true. Okay, now the third line. But God declared, go down again, I dwell among the people. Now students, what happened when he reached the steeple? Okay, when he reached the steeple, he he was directed by God to go down because God is omnipresent. He is not only present at the highest place, but also He is everywhere. Okay, so we can find God in each and every object of the world. We can find God among the people. Okay, now how can we find God in each and every object of the world? We can find God in twinkling stars. We can find God in flowing water. We can find God in fragrance of flower. Okay, and how can we find God among the people? We can find God by serving the suffering humanity and by solving their difficulties in the time of distress. So, the best way to win God's love is to love mankind. Because God loves those people who are very caring, who are very loving people, and they always help the poor and needy. If we want to be close to God, we should love people and help them. Okay, it is very simple. Okay, if we love people, then God will be happy. Okay, God doesn't like those people who hate and avoid the people. So, what is the message of this poem? The message of this poem is that we should be very kind to others. Okay, this is the best way to serve God. God is happy with that person who takes care of and serves mankind. So, students, if we want to serve God, we should serve human beings. If we want to win love of God, we should love human beings. If we want to be close to God, we should be close to human beings. Students, you have to keep one thing in your mind. God loves those who love his fellow man. Okay? Thank you for listening my lecture. Hope you have understood. Best of luck, students.